how to get your projects onto Itch. As we may have seen, Itch is a really cute little site. I also really recommend trying to follow along with this part. It's not too brain heavy. It's just you kind of have to tick some boxes, and so it would be good to try and follow along with this. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go to itch.io and make an account. When you make an account, right, Itch is this wonderful little indie game land where you can play games made by folks, right? You can browse different genres, lots of different assets. If you want any sort of assets for games, you can find a bunch here. They have a lot of 2D stuff mainly, but they also have 3D things, or they have stuff that you, I believe, can use for 3D, and they also host 3D games too. They don't just have to host 2D games. And as you'll see, you can even host stuff. You can even host WebXR games. So WebXR is a browser standard. It's an open standard that allows you to experience XR content on the web. So for starters, right, there's this Blender tag, for instance. There's all these sort of 3D models, which you're welcome to use in your projects. But for reference, what we're going to work up towards in this last little technical part is, I'll show you this little demonstration. Blop, bloop, bleep, blurp. Let's see. Go to Oculus. No, Meta. MetaMucil. Oculus. Casting. There it is. Right, this browser doesn't support casting. That's cool. Mm-hmm. Oh, come on. Great, are we connected to the internet? While you're waiting for me, I recommend creating an itch.io account. That's what I would try and do if I weren't strapped in the metaverse. Literally, what's going on? I don't want voice experiences. Help! I'm trapped and I can't get out. I've fallen and I can't get up. Anybody? Life alert? No? Yes, no? Alright, I'm just going to restart this. And while we are waiting, I will show you that on Itch, we have this. So on Itch, you can publish games, right? You can publish Godot projects. You can export them really easily. You just got to click Run Game. Now, if you are specifically using Chrome, on certain Chrome installs on certain Mac computers, there's a known conflict where it likes to complain. But if you use a different browser, like Safari or Firefox, or you're not using a Mac, it should run fine. And I think that will all get sussed out soon enough. But basically, right when it runs, it loads up, and then you have this little application that you can run. It's not going to work on this browser because we don't have WebVR. But if you do it on a browser that does support WebVR, like a WebXR, like certain smartphones, and oh my God, why is this so hard? WebXR is supported by, obviously, the Oculus headset, and so when you go to it on a VR headset, it will launch a full-blown VR experience. If I can just get the menu back. Okay. Great. Are we on the Wi-Fi? Yes. Can I go to casting? Yes. Cast to the computer. Next, next, next. Go to oculus.com/cast. Go to oculus.com/. right, Chrome's frozen now because it's trying to launch. It's going great, guys. It's going really good. Oculus.com/cast in Chrome. Hello. We're wasting valuable time. We're all aging. We could be outside. We could be in the sun, and we're just watching me not connect the headset. I love technology. Okay. Come on. Are we on the Wi-Fi? We should be on the Wi-Fi. We're not on the Wi-Fi. We're on Wi-Fi. We're so close. I am now casting to the web. I don't believe it. I'll believe it when I see it. Come on. Oh, we just had it. We just saw it. Right, 10, 9, 8, 6, 5, 4. Oh, this is the whole point of today's class. Okay, that's fine. Okay, well, when the Wi-Fi works, it works great, but sometimes the Wi-Fi doesn't work. However, I'll still show you how to export stuff to Itch, and I'll show you the template for exporting WebXR to Itch, and it really is easy when it works, TM. You can quote me on that. So here's the process, right? So first thing you want to do is you want to create an Itch account. So just go to itch.io and make an account. Then what you want to do is if you'll have a profile with all your cute little games that you make, and you're going to want to create a new project by going to your sort of, if you go to your username and then you go to dashboard, these are all the different Itch projects that you can publish. Creating a project is really easy. All you have to do is click Create New Project. And you give your project a title. So I'll just call this like In Class SVA Demo. It gets a special URL, an itch.io URL. You can give it a tagline. We're going to publish our buttons, so I'll say like cool buttons. Cool buttons. This is a game of software that you can play, and then you have a couple different options. So for starters, like if you want to just create a downloadable game, right? Remember how whenever we create Godot projects, if we save and quit to the project list, and you go to, oh, I didn't even need to do that. That's fine. I'll go back here. You know how we have these different rendering renderers, right? We have the mobile renderer. We have compatibility, forward, plus, and mobile. Each of these are like degrees of fanciness. So the best graphics are on forward plus, and then mobile, and then compatibility. Compatibility is the only option that works for exporting directly to the web for playable stuff in the browser or for WebXR. So if you want to have your game be playable like one of these games on Itch, and you just want to play it in the browser, you want your game to be on compatibility mode, right? But let's say you're working on a game that you really like the graphics and you just want to distribute it as something that people can download and play on their own headsets or computers. You can still publish a Forward Plus game. What you want to do in itch, though, is just pick either downloadable. So downloadable is for these sort of fancier games that aren't going to run directly in the browser. But if you want to run it directly in the browser, you want to select HTML. So you have a zip or HTML file that will be played in the browser, okay? So you select the kind of project, and then you are going to go and upload some files, okay? But before we do that, we need to actually get our project ready in Godot. We have to prepare it for export, okay? So in Godot, you can do this with any project too, right? You don't have to have a fancy button thing. You can just export a blank scene in order to see how it works. So I recommend just having some sort of Godot project that you want to try exporting and putting on the browser. So the first thing you want to do is go to, and these steps that you have to do, you only really need to set them up. Some of them you have to set up once for the whole editor. Other times you have to set them up just once per project. But then once you sort of get them set up, the workflow is actually pretty easy. So what you want to do first, if you've never done it before on the editor, you need to go to Manage Export Templates, okay? Because, so far we've just been working inside of this editor, but we haven't figured out how to export our project to any particular platform. And so in order to do that, we have these different templates that we use for exporting to different platforms, like the web or mobile or consoles or whatever. And so the first thing you need to do is go and get those templates from the internet, because they're constantly changing. So you go click Manage Export Templates, and then you should see a button that just says Download and Install from the best available mirror. So just click that, and it'll download and install your export templates. It should take a couple seconds. I have actually already done this, so I'm going to cancel. But you shouldn't cancel. Don't cancel. And then that's all you need to do. You just need to download and install them from this menu. So once you've done that, what that's going to do is when you go over here to project export, you'll see this export window come up, right? And this is how we configure our project for export. So this is also something that we only need to do once per project. And when you click Add, you'll see all these options come up. And these options are what you just went and downloaded. You downloaded all these different template options for exporting. So notably, right, if you want to deploy your app as a standalone app on the Meta Quest with hand tracking and pass-through and all the latest, fanciest XR stuff, this is how you start doing it, is you create an Android export template. But today we're just going to create a web export template. It's going to be a lot simpler, but it also is going to be a lot simpler, which is a good thing. So we're going to create a web export template. And there's a couple things we want to do. If we're just creating a regular game, we're not creating a 3D game, we don't have to change too much here. Or we're not creating, an XR game. We don't have to change too much here. If you want it to be able to run on mobile, you just want to toggle this VRAM texture compression for mobile. So hit for mobile, and then it's going to say, oh, this needs you to do this thing. Click here to fix it. So you just click Fix. Great. If you want it to run as a progressive web app, which is sort of allows you to kind of, that thing you can do where you kind of can make a web page like an app on your phone or whatever. Mm-hmm. You can do that by toggling this little option here. This allows it to be sort of more of basically a progressive web app. If you want it to be a progressive web app, you just hit Enable. It's not necessary, though. Then what we need to do is we need to specify the path where it's going to get exported to. So we're going to click this little folder, and this correlates to this root directory here. I'm just going to create a folder called builds, and then inside of builds I'm going to create another folder called I'm going to call it the folder web. And you can call either of these whatever you want. This is I suggest doing it this way because it's nice to just have all of your builds in one folder. But the thing you do have to do you always want to have the file that you export be called index.html. This is specifically so that it plays nice with itch. Itch is going to look for a file called index.html to run your project from. So you want to create a file called index.html. So we're going to hit save. And so now we see when we export our project, it's going to be in the builds web folder, and it's going to have the root file be called index.html. Any questions in this so far?
Question.
Yeah.
Would I click editor, manage export templates?
Yeah.
I get the error message, export templates are missing, download them, or install them.
Yeah, so just, you see the button right below it that says download and install? Yeah, just click that. And then if you let that go all the way through,
Okay.
it should fix that. And then you should be able to go to this page, which actually uses the export templates to export them. Right, so now we have this preset, this little template, right? And if we close this and open it again, export, right, you'll see there it is. We can also, you can add a bunch of different, maybe we also want to build it for Mac. And so we can create a Mac template. And, don't try and build it for Mac. There's all this other stuff you're going to need to do for Mac. But you'll see, right, we have these different kind of like, these are the tabs we want to go to. Let's say we want to build it for Mac. We would go to this tab and start exporting our project. And if you want to build it for web, we're going to go to this tab. And then we're going to go and click the, we're just going to click the export project button. Boop. And it's going to prompt you to save the file with the name, yes. You can export it with the debug. That allows you to sort of use debugging tools to figure out what's going on. But if you don't really, for all intents and purposes, you don't really need to do that. So you can toggle that off. Then you just hit save. And then there it goes. It's done. Let's go see it. So we have this, let's see. We have, if we open the folder of the project, you'll see now we have this builds folder and this web folder. And here's all this stuff that we can put on the internet, which is pretty sweet. So in order to actually get this onto itch, the last step you need to do is you need to take this whole folder that you just exported and compress it. So just go to compress, and you'll make a zip file. There it is. Then we go back to itch, and we go to upload files. And we go to wherever that file is on your computer. For me, it's inside the syllabus, in sessions, in class, in builds, web.zip. And I'm going to upload this thing. And you'll see that it's an executable. This should be correct. Yeah, so we've uploaded a zip file containing your game. There must be an index.html file in the zip. That's why we named it that way specifically. And then you just click... oh, yeah, this is a very important thing. We have to scroll down. And if you want it to be able to be full screen, you can add a full screen button. And you do have to enable this shared array buffer. Don't ask me why. You just have to do it. It sort of is, it allows the game to run properly. Finally, you can go back to the top and hit save and view page. And I'm going to make this public, actually. Why can't I make it public? I guess because you need to, if you actually want to publish it, there's an extra button you have to press somewhere called publish. Does anybody see it? Let's see. Where is it? Why can't I publish it? Maybe I need to save and view it first. Then you can click Run Game, and it'll load on up. Takes a minute the first time, but here's our little game. Here's our game that we just made in class, right? And this is running on the web, right? And if you went to this website, it would run on your computer. It's pretty easy, right? Again, The one caveat right now on certain Macs are, for some reason, the export through Chrome is annoying. So unfortunately, I think on certain Mac computers you can't. It like takes a really long time for these games to load in Chrome. But they are. I think that it is a bug that's on the way out. But Safari or Firefox should work great. It's something to do with Chrome. The Chrome team for Mac needs to update certain dependencies. Blah 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 blah. So that's pretty straightforward. And the process for making a WebXR game is actually not much more complicated than that. And actually, I'll show you a couple other things real quick. So for starters, we have this export setting, right? If we're here in the export settings, you'll notice here in the web we have this runnable toggle. And you'll notice when we toggle it, we see this little like monitor icon be visible or not. This allows us to actually run a version of the game in the browser just directly from the editor. So what you can do is just toggle this, and then if you want to test it actually in the browser, all you have to do is click this button and click Run in Browser, and it'll open up a browser on a local host network and load it in the browser itself. Okay. So now I'm like running this in the browser directly, and what's nice about that is you can just very easily be like, actually, you know, let's change some stuff. Let's make our character start in the sky. Save it, run it in the browser. You can of course also just run it in the editor itself. So you might be wondering, why would you want to run it in the browser? There's a couple different reasons. Firstly, it runs differently. It runs slightly differently in the browser, so that's helpful. But then also, if I can get this to work, it would be really cool to show you the coolest part. The coolest part. But if we can't, we'll just keep moving on. Okay, connect to the internet. For some reason, the Wi-Fi sucks. Does anybody else feel that way?
Yeah.
Yeah. They spend all this time and energy making these fancy Wi-Fi networks, and then they don't work. You know what? Maybe no, because then I can't do the cool thing. Maybe I would be allowed to make a hotspot. That would be kind of funny. Come on. Brutal. Try this instead. Cancel. Yeah, maybe I'll just use my own Wi-Fi network. Yeah, it's not working at all. Okay. Let's do this. I'm going to create a hotspot. I'm going to connect to the hotspot on the headset. We're having all sorts of dumb things today. All right, I'm not going to show you this now. Maybe at the end part. It's really easy to how do I explain this? When you're on a Wi-Fi network, you all know about your IP address. Your IP address is kind of like your computer's like mailing address on the Wi-Fi network. And you can find out your IP address by going to Wi-Fi settings and clicking on the details of the network, And you can see your IP address is right here. Mine is 10.9.8.78. And what you can do is, if you're on another computer, you can go check out my project on the Wi-Fi. So in order to enable that, what you can do, what you have to do is in the editor settings, you go and you change the, I believe down in network. No, sorry, in export in web, you change it from localhost to 0.0.0.0. 0.0.0.0 means localhost is like an internal IP address within your own computer. 0.0.0.0 means you're listening to network from, you're exposing all the ports on your computer to network requests. That's a little technical. The real point is that you just have to type in 0.0.0.0 into this area of web export. And I believe now, if someone were to go to this web address, https://10. Oops, oh God. Oh, I just lost my IP address. Great, now actually we're totally screwed. Even better. Details. Come on, come on. We're all getting older. Ten dot 10.9.8.78. 10.9.8.78 colon 8060 slash tmp underscore js underscore export dot html. You're not able to connect. What am I doing wrong here? I'm not actually stop. Start. 10.0. Oh, you know, I don't know if this is actually that helpful. 10.9.8.78. Okay, I'll try it one more time. 10.9.8.78, and then we'll move on with our lives. Yes, okay, if you go there, you'll see this error. That is because you also need to, in the editor settings, you need to enable something called TLS. Use TLS. Boop. Close. So you need to enable that in the web export settings. And then finally, you need, that should be it, actually. So I'll stop it and start again. And this might seem really arbitrary, but this is surprisingly one of the easier ways to actually quickly test stuff on a headset, because you can just do this at home, for instance. If you just configure your project correctly by switching those two settings, the IP address setting and the TLS setting, that'll enable you to, if your headset is on the same Wi-Fi network, you'll be able to visit your project on the web on the headset and just test it on the headset without actually having to like go back and forth. Does that make a little bit of sense why I'm trying to show you this? Yeah.
Is this something that's just like local, or
So
someone elsewhere?
So this is just local for being on your own Wi-Fi network. If you want to have people do stuff remotely, the best thing to do is to actually upload your project to itch or something, right? For the final, oh my God, I keep clicking the wrong button. I'm so sorry. 10, I think it was 10 dot, nope, I need to see it again.
10.9.8.78.
You're a hero. 10.9 1.8.78. Stop. Start. Refresh. Close these other things. Has anybody been able to successfully connect to it? Seems like no. Okay, well, I'm not on the Wi-Fi, so that's probably part of the problem. Great, thank you, Wi-Fi. I swear, if just do this at home, and it'll be like, wow, you'll be like, wow, it really is easy. I'll keep moving ahead with showing you how to export stuff onto Itch, because that's also not too bad, right? So we've already seen how to just export a regular 3D project to Itch. In order to export an XR, a web XR project to Itch, I'm not going to be able to do that if I can't get on the internet. Come on, SVA, come on. What's your deal? Why are we doing this today? All right, we'll just pray that it comes back, and in the meantime, I'll show you what you need to do. So, for all intents and purposes, what I suggest you actually do, like if for your final project you want to actually do a WebXR project, what I suggest you do is you go to the syllabus and just go into resources. So clone the syllabus or download the zip, go into resources, go into export templates, and just use this WebXR demo or this WebXR, use the WebXR demo as just copy and paste this and maybe start your project with it, right? If you want to get in there and actually see what's going on and do it yourself, it's not that hard, but if you just start here, it's an easy starting point. So I'll show you how this project specifically looks. So just like any XR project, you need your standard XR nodes, right? We have our XR origin. Here, we'll just look over here. We have our XR origin, our XR camera, our left controller, and our right controller, okay? The left controller has the left-hand tracking attached to it, and the right controller has the right-hand tracker attached to it, okay? Then, specifically for WebXR, you need to have a button because part of the standard is that you're not able to just go to a website and immediately launch people into a VR experience, right? That would be really disorienting if you're just using the browser and then suddenly a room appears around you. So whenever you're doing stuff for WebXR, you specifically have to get people's permission to use it. So the way that you do that is you make a button or something that you can press on the web page, and then when they press it, you ask for their permission and they say yes. So you want to have a button, and you want to have some code in your, you want to have some boilerplate code basically in your main node. This is all a little bit much, but you just need to copy and paste this. This comes specifically from the documentation. If you go to Kado docs, and then we go to if you search for WebXR and you see the WebXR interface, it's this code that's from this website right here. So you just want to copy and paste this into a script in your main node. What it does essentially is it asks WebXR, it asks the browser, hey, do you support WebXR? If you do, hook up these buttons, and then when you press the button, you launch an immersive VR thing, you give it some preferences, and it's good to go. And you make the button invisible. Okay? So again, it's a little bit confusing, but basically once you just have this, if you just have this script attached to a main node and a button, then everything else kind of works as intended, just in a regular VR experience. And then from there, if you want to export it, all you have to do is go to Project, Export. You create a web export template with a couple of settings set. So you do texture compression. It's suggested that you paste this stuff into the headers. I don't think you need to. So if you're having problems, you could also try deleting this stuff. But again, if you just copy and paste this project, it should have it all set up for you anyway. You want it to be a progressive web app, and then you just hit Export Project. If you're doing it specifically, right, anytime you export your project in the builds folder, you just want to delete all the stuff that's in it. So then we can go and sort of create new files and nothing's going to get confused. So you just hit Export, hit Save, and then we go and we compress this. I think this is the new one. I'll just rename it. Boop. And then you just upload that to itch, right? So I'll go back to itch. I'll show you this XR game this XR demo that I've been working on. If you want to edit a game, you can just hit edit, and then you can just replace the zip file with whatever changes that you make, right? So I'll delete this, and then hit upload, and go find it. Any questions about this workflow? Does this seem like something that is feasible to do, or does this also seem a little complicated? Pretty feasible, yeah. And again, right, so if you're having trouble with the click deploy, you can just do this process where you hit export, upload the zip file, and then go to the web page on the Quest, and you'll be able to interact with it. But it's also, if you're on your own, if you want to check these headsets out and take them home, it would be even easier for you to just try to do this little guy, right? So you can just hit remote debug, run in browser. That's because I'm running it in the other. So don't, it's easy to have multiple Gato instances up and at the same time, which is sort of a good thing, but also a bad thing when you get confused about which one is which. So I'm going to close this one. I'm going to run this one. Safari is complaining, that's fine. But again, you can just do localhost. And you might have to hit show details and say, yes, I trust this. Go ahead. Yes, I believe it. And then it will load the application, right? I really wish I could show you. I want this to work so badly. But I'm really not having a good day with VR. So I'll pause that there. Any questions? And I'll keep seeing if I can do this, but I don't want to spend the rest of the class looking into a headset while you guys are falling asleep or goofing around. So any questions or concerns, fears, dreams, aspirations?
I guess the idea is you could do this also on your phone, but I feel like that's probably like a whole other ballpark.
No, you should be able to do it on your phone. So yeah, let's see if we can do it on our phones.
I don't know if that's overcomplicating.
Well, so you have to be on the same Wi-Fi network, but if you go to these web pages on your phone, like if you go to the itch page on your phone, you should be able to do it. So if I go to itch, if I go to zbark.itch.io on my phone, I'll see all the different projects that I have. I can do the WebXR demo. And then I'm not entirely sure if for a really long time, Apple did not support WebXR. However, with the Vision Pro, they have started supporting it. So I believe you might be able to do WebXR from your phone on an iPhone. You can definitely do it on an Android device. But yes, you can do stuff from your phone that way. Any other questions at the moment? Not yet. So why don't we do this? I'm going to try and connect one last time, and then I swear I get fixated on things, and I really want to show off how easy it's supposed to be, for better or for worse. But actually, I think maybe it's happened this time. Okay, great. Look at that. Cast. We'll go back to the website. I need to have Chrome. Casting. Computer, next. Okay. Are we here? Is it my face? Can I start now? Come on, we're so close. You're so close. Oh, good Lord. No. God. Thanks for your patience, guys. I'm sorry that this is so cumbersome. All right, I give up. So the point is, right, these headsets, you can easily check them out. Just when you take them home, just put them on your own local Wi-Fi network, and then you can use that to go to Itch and play your deployed things pretty easily on Itch. Or you can just use the one-click deploy button and just put in the name of your IP address into the MetaQuest browser, and you'll be able to, like, test your games on the MetaQuest browser without having to deploy them to Itch. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm going to stop this particular recording, and then I'll start another recording because we're going to shift gears one more time. And this will be fun. This won't entail me just sort of playing around on a headset and